Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Jesús Abellán. I'm the CEO of Arum Group. I would like to welcome to this webinar called Exploring the Future of Golf. It is a pleasure to be with you again after the success of our last webinar held 3 months ago, together with the Asociación Española de Campos de Golf, which was titled The Before and After of Golf Resource in Times of COVID. One of the topics that we discussed in this webinar was the slightly positive evolution of golf licenses in Spain during 2020 and 21, which represents a change in the negative trend that started in 2011, having lost since then, unfortunately, around 20% of the total licenses in our country. It seems that in Europe it has happened something similar. Unfortunately, in terms of female licenses, this negative trend has not changed, having lost an even higher percentage of licenses with respect to 2010. It is our duty to think about what we can do to promote such a beautiful sport that creates so much wealth in our country. In today's webinar, Exploring the Future of Golf, we will try to answer some of the issues that arose in the previous session. And above all, we will talk about innovation in the world of golf, learning from the vision and experience of our talented speakers who accompany us today. We are convinced that this will be an interesting session for all golf lovers. Now I will leave you with Brendon Brien, Director of Golf at Abama Resort, who will be your moderator. Brendon?
Thank you, Jesus. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, which today will explore topics relating to the future of golf. The discussion with our panelists is planned to last approximately 45 to 50 minutes, and then we will have approximately 15 minutes at the end to answer some questions, which can also be sent through on the link in your screen. You will also have the opportunity to send your questions directly to our panelists by email, and at the end of this webinar, we will publish their email details. So let's begin. Firstly, I'd like to introduce you to this international panel of speakers. From Spain, we have Javier Reviriego Bóveda. Javier is the CEO and Managing Director of Real Club Valderrama, which is one of Spain's top golf courses. The course has hosted more than 20 European Tour events, including the 1997 Ryder Cup event, among numerous other important tournaments. Javier has been the CEO of Real Club Valderrama since 2011 and is also on the board of directors of Immobile Spain, which is currently developing the Marbella Golf Four Seasons Resort. Prior to joining Valderrama, he was the general manager of Finca Cortesín Hotel, Golf and Spa from 2006 to 2011. From England, Jeremy Slessor is joining us. Jeremy is the Managing Director of European Golf Design, and he has been involved in the golf course industry since 1976. He joined European Golf Design in 1984 before becoming Managing Director in 1996. His company has successfully developed highly rated golf courses all over the world and is in a joint venture with the IMG and the European Tour. He's a frequent contributor to numerous golf publications and a speaker at international industry events, sharing his experiences in management, planning, construction management, logistics, and course design. All the way from the States is Elisa Gaudet, who's joining us. Elisa is the founder of Executive Golf International and Women's Golf Day. She has 20 years of golf industry experience in the US, Europe, and Latin America, including the 2002 EMC World Cup for the PGA Tour. She also headed up sponsorship, marketing, and PR for the Tour of Americas, which is the Latin PGA Tour. Elisa founded Executive Golf International, a strategy-driven golf marketing company, which is responsible for creating Women's Golf Day, engaging thousands of women worldwide through the game of golf in an event that transcends language, culture, religion, politics, and age. She has also been a speaker at numerous golf and sports conferences and has received multiple awards. And finally, back to Europe. Patrick Rahme is joining us from Luxembourg. Patrick is the co-founder and CEO of Allsquare. Allsquare is a revolutionary social network and marketplace designed for golfers. Users can book trips and green fees as well as share experiences with others in the network. The company also provides premium online positioning and content for golf clubs and resorts, bringing together industry players and target markets in a single platform. Patrick is himself a past national golf champion, channeling his love of golf, technology, and connection through this thoroughly modern avenue. Ladies and gentlemen, after a year as complicated as the one we have just gone through, where many golf courses have been closed or operating with very reduced staff, is it now a time where we should rethink whether the traditional operating procedures may have become somewhat obsolete, and we must think maybe about new operating models? Jeremy, I'll start off with you. As a professional in advising in golf courses, what's your opinion as to whether golf courses have decided already to make change? And if so, what type of changes are being made? And do you think it's the right time?
Brendon, I think the time has never been more right to make the changes that are necessary. You know, as you mentioned in the introduction, the last 12 months has been like no 12-month period any of us have ever been through before. And while that has generated some interest in golf, some of it new and some of it renewed, you know, there are still some underlying issues that I think we need to resolve. And if you look at the last 12 months and some of the lessons that we can take from it, you know, some of the takeaways are that with the increased number of people that are working from home, they have more time. As much as anything, it's the time that they would have spent commuting from their home to their office is now available to them. So you know, yeah. Golf has become, for some of those people, golf has become much more important. We're all desperate for social and personal connection again. So that connection through clubs is going to be of increasing importance as we move out of this phase and into the next phase. And that creates some opportunities for operators. We're all desperate for getting outside because a lot of us, particularly in the north of Europe, a lot of us have been inside for a long time over the winter. We haven't had the opportunity to get outside. We haven't had the opportunity to play golf for months. So there is, you know, there are opportunities there. And courses were busy last summer. I suspect pretty much across Europe they were busy, and around the world they were busy. But there is a degree, I think, of false optimism. You know, you constantly hear people saying, "Oh, you know, golf is back." Well, golf has had a revival, but the issue now is, what do we do to keep those new golfers and the renewed golfers? How do we keep them engaged going forward once society starts to open up and the demands on their time start to pile up? So what do people want now going forward in a golf club or a golf resort? And it seems to me that what they want, as much as anything, is flexibility. They don't necessarily want to pay at the start of the year for 12 months of golf. I don't know if anybody saw this report. It's the
we can't see it very well.
It's not good. It's the GGA report on millennials. So they did a survey of basically anybody under the age of 40. Well, you know what? 77% of them pay for their golf per round. They don't pay a membership. So having the ability to access that market, I think, is going to be very important. So flexibility of membership, whether it's point-based or pay as you play, or you know, with a sort of initial down payment, I think is going to be very important. Ease of booking tee times. Lots of clubs have gone to online booking over the last 12 months. I'm hearing a lot of people saying, well, as soon as lockdown's over, we can get rid of online booking, go back to the way we used to be. that's fine for the older generation, but it's not going to work. And Patrick, I'm sure, can talk a lot more about this. It's not going to work for the younger generation. And the changes that need to be made inevitably are going to be attempted to be blocked by the older members. But what happens when the older members are no longer there? They're no longer there. So who is filling that gap in the membership? And what does that gap want? And it seems to me that from the conversations I've had and research I've read, what those millennials, Generation Z, what they want flexibility. They want as few rules as possible, and particularly dress code. They're tired of dress codes. And if you're in a resort context, why would you necessarily make somebody that comes off the beach and wants to play golf, why would you make them go and change their clothes? You know, if they want to play in a pair of beach shorts and a t-shirt, why not? So the short answer to the question is, I think there's lots of opportunities there.
Okay.
The old model's dead, and it's going to have to be a flexible model going forward.
Okay, Jeremy, thanks. Javier, you represent one of the most emblematic golf courses in Spain. Have you made any design or business model changes in this regard due to the current situation we're in at the moment? And if so, what has changed?
Well, my first comment would be, in any organization, if you're going to make changes to your model, especially if the model is working, you have to be very careful and very analytical. And I say this because you don't want to make the mistake of making changes that are permanent for temporary problems. Okay, I think at some stage the situation with the pandemic is going to be over. You know, we all hope the sooner the better, obviously.
Sure.
But when we have analyzed our model and the changes that we would like to implement, we have given it serious thought, because we want to avoid the mistake of making permanent changes that will be difficult to go back to in the future.
Okay.
Obviously, the travel industry has been hit really hard by the pandemic. Any golf club or golf course that generates most of their revenue from visitors, from be local or international, is struggling. They're having a difficult time. But I think as an industry, we should sit on the positives. And Jeremy mentioned the increase in rounds, which I think is an excellent sign for the golf business. If you look at the rounds played, especially in UK and US, there has been a spike for sure. I know in Spain, in the large cities, at the private clubs, there has been a spike in rounds. There's been even difficulties to play. So I think it's very important as an industry for us to transmit the message that golf is very safe, it's very healthy. It's an activity that we can play with a family and with friends, which basically suits the current situation we're living. We should take advantage of this situation to do PR about our sport and how good it is in the current environment and how safe it is. And this will help it grow. I think for many years we have heard that something is wrong with golf. We have heard that we should make changes. We have heard that it's basically going to disappear. So I've never been so pessimistic about the game. I think the problem was lying in society. People were living too fast. More professional commitments, more family commitments have reduced our leisure time. And this has obviously affected golf. And the fact that there's more leisure opportunities, especially for young people, has also affected the way golf is displayed. So I honestly think that from all the institutions in the golf business, we should really rethink if there's something absolutely wrong with the traditional way that we see golf for years. At Valderrama, we have given it, of course, very a lot of consideration to the situation. We have had to adjust our staff count at times during the pandemic. We have had to work and maintain our standards with limited resources, like any company who has gone through this period. But the reduced green fee rounds, we have seen a positive side, which is increased interest from new members. We have had more interest in the last year for people to join Valderrama than ever before, probably in the last 10 years. I think this is a phenomenal situation. And when I talk about this with peers from other clubs, I think a lot of them have the same situation. So I think what this pandemic has brought has made people rethink their lifestyle in a way. I think now a lot of people are thinking, I can probably work from anywhere, and I should probably have more fun and spend more time with my family and friends, and I should probably play more golf. And I think all our PR from the golf industry should evolve around this, and this will make us come out stronger. So let's look on the positives and let's get people to have fun and play golf.
Okay, Javier, thank you. Patrick, due to your business practice, you've had the opportunity to visit many golf courses, obviously over both in Europe, I imagine, and America. What's your opinion from talking to industry colleagues? What changes have you heard about in recent times which are more significant?
So I agree with Javier. I think basically golf is seen today as a safe sport, as a sport that people can practice without wearing a mask. You somehow get back to the old world before COVID when you play golf, and that's a very interesting point that I think needs to be promoted. I've recently seen on French TV on the journal, which they call their first TV program. They've been talking about kids who never played golf in their life. They were practicing judo or karate and so on. And because all those activities have been banned for the moment, schools are trying to get them into golf. And I think this is an amazing opportunity to grow the game right now. And that's where it starts. I think grassroots is very important, as much as getting women into golf, because I think a lot of women start golf maybe also because of their kids, because they have to spend time on a golf course, bring their kids back and forth. So staying there would be more appropriate. But what I've seen from colleagues, obviously all the resorts that are reliant on travelers are struggling a lot because of closures and because of travel bans. However, there has been a huge increase in demands for memberships. And that's a very, I would say, positive trend right now, because someone who joins a club usually will play a lot of golf during that time, and hopefully also extend his membership. And there are different models. I agree with Jeremy on one side that for younger generations, obviously you don't necessarily want to commit to one place. Before COVID, we used to move a lot from one city to another, and we didn't really know where we're going to spend the rest of our lives. But right now, with the current situation, I'm quite sure a lot of those younger kids are not really thinking about, traveling abroad, because they want to stay closer to their families. They want to take care of their families as well. And so this trend we're seeing is very, very positive for the golf industry. And I think it will have a lasting impact for the next 10 years.
Okay.
And so that's very positive. I would say, again, I like the tradition of golf. I also like, bringing the game to the next level, a bit more modern. But I still think that we should stick to the roots of golf somehow, and that's what really makes the beauty of the game. And so I would say, on the one hand side, I completely agree with Javier. On the other hand, I also believe that Jeremy has some fair points that also need to be addressed.
Okay, Patrick, thank you. I'd just like to change a little bit of direction at the moment ahead and talk about sustainability and bring in Elisa. Elisa, you're located in the States where the subject and advances in sustainability in golf courses have been very important. What are the latest practices been implemented according to your experience now, and where have you seen them being put in place? I think you need to switch on your mic, Elisa.
Yeah, sorry. The host had the control. I was trying to. Thank you so much. I am going to chime in on that last question. My thought on that is that golf is gonna have to make 9 holes more acceptable, because people, when things get back to normal, the time restraints are there. Jack Nicklaus has been talking about it for years, whether it's 12 or 9. And I'm not saying that that's all you play, but making that acceptable. I think that that's going to be a huge thing if that becomes more the norm.
Okay.
My 2 cents. But with regard to sustainability, we have like 15,000 courses in the US, and we have a number of organizations. There's an International Sustainable Council, We Are Golf, the Audubon. I don't know if there's anything new necessarily. I mean, I think they started back years ago. I don't know how many years ago, but just looking at more of the ecological and economical benefits of doing it. And obviously, whenever you put economic benefits and you look at things like, MCO, multi-course owners, there's going to be a very good incentive to do some of these things if they're going to be saving money. In the US, once again, I think as a lot of people know, it's hard to just group it all together because we have water issues in Arizona, California, certain places of Florida, some states where it's a premium. I mean, it's crazy what they have to pay for water. So I think, water conservation, water quality, energy savings, pollution reduction, and pollution reduction could be like runoff from chemicals into the water, which has, been an issue in some cases. But I can give you an example of I'm in West Palm Beach, Florida right now, where I live. And the PGA Village, which is owned and operated by the PGA of America, is a 54-hole course, championship course, that has 36 holes are Fazio and 18 are Pete Dye. And that was the first ever facility to obtain certification from the Audubon for this lifestyle sustainability golf facility program that they have. And so over the years, they have conserved more than 190 million gallons of water. So it's things like that I think, and once again, I think it comes back to economics. It's the business of golf, and that's I think what more and more locations are realizing. And if you put paspalum grass in, that is, a more sustainable water that can be irrigated with salt water. So obviously, locations Hawaii, Florida that are near salt water, that makes sense.
Okay, thank you, Elisa. Jeremy, how would you rate, how is sustainability measured and demonstrated from a golf course point of view? And what resources would a golf course need to provide and implement?
Well, golf, in my view, golf has got the greatest resource it's ever had in terms of measuring sustainability, and that's the Golf Environment Organization. And through there, they have 2 programs, one for existing courses and one for new courses. So through the GEO programs, for the first time, we have the ability to define, measure, and demonstrate sustainability, and sustainability in all 4 of its pillars, if you like. So there is an economic argument, there is an environmental argument, there is a social argument, and there is a cultural argument. And through the programs that GEO runs, for the first time, we can demonstrate what golf is doing per course and as a collective in terms of progressing in terms of sustainability. Because it's no good me saying, it's no good any of us saying golf is good. We have to be able to show it because golf, as Javier has said, golf doesn't have the best PR in the world. And we've all got a responsibility to tell the story of an industry that gives us our livelihoods. And there is a tremendous story to be told. But, in terms of the resources.
Jeremy, can I stop you there? Just ask you, why does golf not have why is there such a bad PR for golf?
Well, because because it's popular to say golf is bad for the environment. And we haven't, as an industry, we haven't been able to respond to that with data. We now have the ability to respond. Every project that we go to, whether it's a new course or an existing course that's going to be renovated, we have to deal with the same tired arguments about, oh, golf is going to be bad for this land. And those arguments have got no basis in fact. Now, for sure, what happened 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago in the design, in the development world is not as good as best practices today. As an industry, we have learned. And I think, we are infinitely better at doing the right thing. And in the end, sustainability comes, if you want a strap line for sustainability, it's do the right thing. And we all know in the end what the right thing is to do. The sort of the flip is, if you get the environmental aspect of it right, and you get the social aspect of it right, and you get the cultural aspect of it right, invariably there will be an economic benefit. So this is not a cost to a project. This is an added, in fact, it's an added line of revenue that could be generated.
Okay, thanks, Jeremy. Javier, what's your view on this issue? Have you had any major impact down in Abama on the golf industry, or what do you see globally going forward, how it will impact the industry?
I agree with Jeremy. I think a lot of it has to do with PR within the golf industry. I think for some reason we haven't been able to communicate properly how conscious we are with the environment and with sustainability as an industry, I've attended conferences where I've had to discuss this issue with environmentalists, and I always think data wins any argument, and proving how advanced we are as an industry in applying environmental methods always wins an argument. And if I had to compare ourselves with agriculture, for example, we are so far advanced in irrigation practices compared to agriculture. There's not even a debate. I mean, it is unbelievable. In our particular case at Valderrama, Elisa was mentioning the Audubon certificate. I think we were the first European course to obtain it in the late 80s or beginning of the 90s, which shows, many years ago, as a golf course, which was a reference in Europe, we were already thinking of the right environmental practices for the golf course, and the right practices to save water, to save energy costs, to save fuel. And all the work we are doing currently at Valderrama is directed at looking at ways of saving water, working with the administration to use recycled water. And this is a constant work. We are constantly questioning ourselves if we can implement better practices that will be more sustainable for the environment. And I think the key of this matter is that as an industry, we are able to communicate this, because up to now, for whatever reason, we haven't been able to. The main organizations and institutions within the golf industry, the RNA, the USGA, the professional golf tours, the federations, the Olympic Committee, there should be an action plan, a communication plan, a PR plan to convey these messages to society, and to avoid this constant bashing of golf as an industry, not only because we're not sustainable, but also because we're a sport for the elite. I think these are old arguments. They're tired. They're easy to debate, easy to win these arguments. And I think it takes a joint action of the main institutions within the industry to actually establish the right messages that we want to send out and establish an action plan. And I think this will be the key. And I think it's the only way we can turn around the negative PR that we receive sometimes as an industry.
Okay. I'm going to change topic slightly and talk about some golf course designers and their importance. Jeremy, do you think that a golf course designed by a well-known golf architect with international status adds value to the course project? And more importantly, do you think that these costly design plans at the initial stage of a course, that they guarantee future success for the course?
I might take issue with your use of the word costly.
Well, sorry. Relative costs of initial planning.
Look, if I worked for some of the big names, I would say absolutely it works every time. We've, as a company, we've done about 100 projects, of which 40 have been with a signature designer. So I think I've got a pretty good handle on what doesn't work. And the answer is, it works in some locations and it doesn't work in other locations. And it very much depends on the situation. So it depends on location. It depends on the target market that you're going for. It depends on the budget of the project. And it depends on who your competition is for that market. And it can, and that will change everywhere you go.
Sure.
It can work in an existing golf market in terms of differentiation. You know, if you've got 10 courses and you need something that's going to differentiate from those other 9, then putting a brand on the course can work. It can work in an emerging market if the target golfers are from an existing golf market. So they understand golf, they know who Jack then is, they know who Tiger is, they know who Greg is. Where it doesn't work, I think, is in emerging markets where there isn't, you know, where there is an emerging golf population. So, you know, take somewhere like Kazakhstan. Why would you put a signature design on a project in Kazakhstan? The Kazakhstanis don't know who Jack is. They don't know who Tiger is. The people that want to play will want to play simply because for the first time there is a golf course that they can go and play. So I think, you know, I think it very much depends on the situation. It has to be driven by the business plan, unless it's a vanity project and the investor desperately wants to work with
a particular individual.
Go get Jack. That's fine. You know, I get that. If he's your golfing idol and you've got the money and you can afford it, go get him. The second part of your question, do the costly plans mean success? No, is the short answer. It depends on the circumstance. It can do, but there's no guarantee that the cost of signature design is going to get you any better a golf course or any worse a golf course than going with a competent non-branded signature design. Sorry.
Okay. Javier, do you think, obviously having such a well-known designer behind you there, Mr. Robert Trent Jones, do you think that at Valderrama this has influenced the success of the course?
Well, I would say yes. I mean, Robert Trent Jones obviously is one of the best of all time. It's obvious that he did a great job at Valderrama. I think the proof of it is that, you know, the pros still struggle to shoot under par at Valderrama, despite the fact that it's become quite a short course for today's standards. So you would have to say he did a good job. You would have to say that in general terms, you know, the design is still modern, still attractive for people to play. So yes, I think in the Valderrama case, I would say yes, but I fully agree with what Jeremy was saying, that I think many times the model that you're going to choose for your project, for your golf project, depends very much on location, you know, and in some circumstances, having a top designer who's going to cost, you know, obviously going to cost more money is probably not the right solution. Is it a good start to have a signature on the golf course? Obviously, there's a branding component that is obvious. Especially among expert golfers, you know, expert golfers, when you're looking and planning your trips, Patrick can vouch for this, you're looking at the courses in the area you're going to visit, you're obviously going to tend to play those who are designed by a famous architect. This is obvious. But I've also seen in the past, especially in the 90s, huge mistakes when choosing designers for certain models of clubs. You know, if you have a golf club or a private club where the average age is very high, and you bring in a top designer that builds a championship golf course, then not even the pros can break par. I think it's nonsense, you know, and I've seen this in many projects. You know, I think it's important to evaluate what your model is going to be based on and what you're looking for as a club before making the decision of bringing a signature into the project.
Okay.
And having said that, bringing a signature into the project doesn't always guarantee the good routing. Gives you a more chance that you will, but it doesn't always give you the best routing.
Okay.
In some cases, I've seen some of the top designers build golf courses that are virtually impossible or unsustainable to maintain. You know, you have to think of the agronomy team has to deliver quality after the golf course is built. And you see certain designs, especially from the 80s, where there was a lot of earth movement, and the designer wanted to impress and show character on the golf course by moving earth. And you see that many of them are impossible to maintain at decent costs.
Sure.
So I think expert advice is always the best solution when you're working, especially on a new golf project. And a good expert should be able to tell you if it's necessary to go for a top architect or
not. Okay. Patrick, you, I think, understand I've made an agreement with Robert Trent Jones Jr. For the design of golf courses in Europe. Was this decision a marketing issue for you at All Square, or does it really impact on the success of your project as a whole?
No, I mean, with Robert Trent Jones Jr., it started as a friendly relationship. We used to travel to the same places by coincidence, and we became, well, I don't know if I can say friends, because I consider him a bit like my grandfather. So I've learned a lot from him, and I think what impressed me the most is just you know, his passion for the game, his passion for telling stories to people, and I think he's a great ambassador of golf around the world. And I've learned a lot from him, you know, not only in terms of, you know, how to lay out a course, but also, you know, how to play it. Because when you play one of his courses with him, you can see also the way he plays his course. It's nice to see that it's been adapted to, you know, like a 10 handicapper as much as a scratch player or a beginner. And his philosophy has changed over the years, which is also something that is interesting to see how an architect evolves with the game. And for instance, in his new designs, he would, you know, not have any rough at all. It would just be fairway. And the difficulty would be around the greens. So the aim is to avoid having people search for golf balls all the time. And then also, you know, having 6 loop holes, so each time coming back to the clubhouse so that people can play only 6 holes if they want to. So there are a lot of interesting, I would say, ideas, and especially for a person of his age, I think he's, first of all, untireable. So he travels all the time, and he's always, you know, trying to challenge himself and looking for, I would say, pieces that might not necessarily be successful from day one, but basically he wants to leave a legacy, and he wants to have a course that maybe in 50 years will be successful. Or, you know, it's not just about the short term. So he tries to build in a way that is more, I would say, about leaving a legacy, like his father did with Valderrama. Or another example is Troia in Portugal, which pros also have a difficulty to play under par, although the courses are not very long. So yeah, I think it's been very interesting for me the last 2 years to learn about golf course design, and I enjoy it a lot, you know, as a player, as someone in the industry. And I think having a big name will definitely bring some value, whether it's through the construction project, making the right decisions, whether it's around real estate, where there are a lot of studies in the US as well that show that having a renowned architect will also add value to the real estate pieces around. So if you understand what you want to achieve, I think you can then decide whether a big name will be worth it or not. And I personally see it from our users a lot. You know, whenever they go to a destination, they want to play the courses that are well known, and mostly there's a big designer behind it.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. Elisa, what are the trends and the new revelations in the US? What are the examples? Have you seen major changes in the golf architecture side of courses out there? Can we open Lisa's mic again?
When we went through in the United States, we went through the 08, 09 economic crash, like most of the world did. I mean, there was a kind of leveling, and the US has always been more advanced. I think there was more supply than demand at that time. So there hasn't been a lot of new design. I think redesign was very much since that time until now in favor, and sustainability, which we already touched on. I think, if anything, I've seen more from places overseas that probably have learned the lessons from the United States, whether that be a Dubai, a Vietnam, a China. And what a lot of the other gentlemen have said here is, every market is unique, and it's based on the needs and the wants of that population or that developer. And it's going to, are you a resort course, or you're a multi-use, or you're family friendly? Is it a housing development? That's going to determine. I absolutely think that having a signature designer, not just putting the name on it, obviously, as Patrick alluded to, it's going to help drive sales, and that's that's the business model. It's not necessarily let's get people golfing. I always say you're guaranteed you're not going to have a Walmart on your backyard. So it's also like an insurance policy if you're buying real estate. They can't build behind it if you have a golf course there. But you look at markets like Mexico. For there, they build a U.S. style housing developments, and that's a safety factor because they have safety issues. You look at bigger cities, whether it's a New York or a Japan, and it's more tranquility that you can have an escape. So I think it's, you're selling a lifestyle in a lot of times with that. And just my experience is, I sold a Greg Norman design in Mexico, and I don't think a lot of people realize it. How Mexico even developed, which is quite well known as a tourist destination, was with Cabo, and the government did a municipal course on one end of the peninsula and another one on the other end, and they did use designers, and then developers came in and built an in between, and they've used that model in multiple locations in Cancun. You've got Mayacoba, or areas like that, Cancun. Cabo, so there's, that's just one example. You can see where that was, at least I did sell that to the government. It was an RFP for, the government course, and they did the same thing.
Okay. Each year we're seeing more and more professional tournaments evolving, new markets, Asia, Australasia. Jeremy, in regard to the tournaments, from a golf course point of view, besides the TV coverage of a particular event, what do you see are the benefits of hosting these tournaments for a golf course?
Well, besides the exposure, I mean, the exposure is the main thing, really.
Sure.
Why do
are there other benefits accruing for the course?
Why do people invest in tournament golf? And again, there are different set of circumstances. For a specific course, then the exposure is, in a business case, is you're going to sell more tee times, you're going to sell more memberships, you're going to sell more hotel room nights, or you're going to sell more real estate because of the exposure that it's had. That's not necessarily why a tourist board would invest into professional golf. They're looking more at a regional or even national level of generating tourism into a location, and I think this may not be popular may not be very popular in Spain, but Turkey did a brilliant job 15 years ago of establishing a new market by creating some really impressive golf with hotels, B, marketing it as golf in Turkey as opposed to each individual hotel, and then C, starting to put some professional tournaments on. So, it depends. There is an exposure factor here. What I think tournament golf is not going to do successfully is grow the game in a new marketplace, because a tournament venue is not the place that you go and learn to play golf on necessarily. And the problem, it seems to me, on some of these emerging markets where they've spent a lot of money on on a big flashy tournament golf course and then had a tournament on is, you know, it's unsustainable without a rich benefactor, because they're trying to flip the pyramid of growth. There is no sport in the world that has grown in a new market from the elite level down. It always grows from the ground up. So if you're going to have the big flashy golf course, you've also got to have some more accessible public golf courses, or, you know, open to the public, that they can come and experience the game and hopefully get to the point where they will eventually enjoy the tournament venue. But so tournament golf will help in terms of exposure. It will help nationally, regionally, locally, or for an individual project. What I don't think it's very good at is growing the game.
Okay. Javier, do you think that the corporate institutions or brands will continue to invest in golf in tournaments in the future?
I do. Yeah. I mean, I think one of the keys, and I've been lucky to be involved in many professional events in my career, in many professional golf tournaments. I think the key, or one of the key issues, is that all the stakeholders involved in an event, there's a win-win for all, because the objectives of the stakeholders when you organize an event like this can be different. You know, they're different for the venue, for the players, for the promoter, for the destination where it takes place, for the spectators, and obviously for the sponsors. You know, the players have an obligation to understand that without sponsors, there's no show. The promoters have an obligation to understand that without delivering a good experience in a good show, there will be, you know, there will be no spectators on site and on television, and sponsors will not be happy about this. So I think the first element that in my opinion, we need to concentrate on is it a win-win for everybody? Is it a 360 for all the stakeholders of the event? Okay. In the case of a golf club like Valderrama, obviously has been very beneficial. The visibility that golf tournaments provides, especially if you do it in a sustained way in the course of several years, is obvious. We benefit from more green fee sales. We benefit from more interest from people to become a member. We have the opportunity during a week every year to showcase our product to the world live. And there is no doubt that this provides visibility and increases. Jeremy was saying before, visibility. I also think it improves your reputation as a golf club. It improves your prestige as a golf club, especially if you present it in good conditions. And it's also a way for golf clubs like us to give back to golf, in this case, to Spanish golf, you know? And there's many examples of this in the world. I mean, can you think of Augusta or Pebble Beach or St. Andrews being so famous if they had not hosted major tournaments, you know? Sure. I would say no. So the tournament hosting of professional events at a place like Valderrama is part of our model. It's part of our DNA. So very important to understand this, because sponsors are looking to associate themselves with a great sport like golf, which is about values, tradition, fair play, clean, and they're looking to associate themselves with the superstars that play the game. Sure. If you have this combination, sponsors will continue to come back to golf, no doubt about it.
Okay. It was actually lead me on to Elisa, to your next question about, from your previous experience managing these events, is there a good return of investment as you've seen it? And who tends to benefit most from the return?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I did the EMC World Cup in 2002 in Mexico, put that on. And, you know, as Javier has had a lot more experience with this than I, one of the things I can jump on, some of the things that I said, I think what happens is, it's basically, the best analogy would be like, you go you can buy a shirt anywhere, or you can buy an Hermès shirt or a Louis Vuitton or Chanel or whatever luxury. I think that's what it does to a golf course. It puts it in a luxury brand. And you have to realize that when those tournaments come, you have officials that are coming there, and the greens and the way it's prepared for a tournament also brings it to a new level. And I think the agronomy learns about that, and also maintain some of those standards, or knows how to have a really superior golf course that maybe another course wouldn't have that experience. The ROI is going to depend on, as you know, Javier said, the people that are involved, and it depends on activation. You know, I always say strategy, synergy, activation. So you can have the best strategy if you're not activating on it, and the goals of the people that are involved, whether it's a government or a sponsor. And I always have examples, but the Dominican Republic, I always say to people, you know, you can see an article in the Wall Street Journal saying that they have a free trade zone. And like probably somebody sitting in finance, whatever, oh, that's wonderful for that, you know, little country. And then an article come out about either a major tournament that's being held there or a 4-page spread in a major magazine saying it's a new second home destination. And that the perception in the mind of that just being a country that you wouldn't normally think of as all of a sudden it's a second, you know, this luxury destination, once again, does a lot, you know, for the country, for real estate sales and everything else we've already mentioned.
Okay. Lisa, can I do a follow-up question now that I have you on the mic? Talking about you for the past more than 7 years now, have been organizing this Women's Golf Day, which is celebrated on golf courses all around the world on the same day of the year. Why is it important to engage with these type of demographics, and what are the potential economic impact and growth for the golf clubs?
Sure, yeah, it's the first Tuesday in June every year. This will be our 6th year, and we have over 900 locations in 68 countries that are doing that all on the exact same day. So you gotta like wrap your head. It's like the New York Marathon inverted. And instead of everybody coming to us, we go to them. And a lot of people here, it's been hosted at Valderrama, so it could be private, public, and the location can charge a fee or not. So it's very interesting because it has generated new growth, which we've always talked about, how to get women into golf. And it's split down the middle. 50% are women who have zero to no, you know, little to no knowledge of golf. And the other half is women that actively play. And it's going to go back to some of the things we said, like, why do we have a bad reputation? Well, we're the only sport on the planet that has a negative connotation, a golf widow. I mean, there's no like soccer equivalent or NFL equivalent, and those are way more masculine. However, you have soccer moms, and those are just moms who drive kids to soccer. So it doesn't make any sense. So, you know, if we eradicate the word golf widow, we can start there, number one. But it's just like, I always say this, like, if you're a sneaker manufacturer, you're only going to sell sneakers to 50% of the population. I mean, 50% of the population around the world is female. So it's just like, we're in, it's just business. Yeah. So why would you not market to 50% of the population? And then women are like a natural funnel system. You're going to get the children. And 3 major things I always say is no one's going to, very few people I think are going to buy a home on a golf course, join a country club, or have their children play golf or any sport, that's like a singular decision. Those are usually decisions that are made by couples. And a majority of those decisions are made by couples. I don't know a ton of single guys that are buying houses on golf courses.
Okay. Patrick, from the All Square Golf Course app, have you seen other niches grow on the app? And what are they looking for before they book and go to play a course?
Yeah. So basically, well, other niches, I mean, for me as well, the most important are women. And we are also always trying to find ways to get more women engaged on the platform. That's why also we partnered up with Women's Golf Day and Elisa. What is important right now for people when they book is to understand, you know, first of all, can they travel? Will they have to postpone their trip or not? And right now, it's really everything is very COVID related. So the destinations that open are the ones people want to go to, and I think it's also golfers who at the moment maybe travel the most because they know they're going to be staying in a resort, they're going to be playing golf outdoors. So I'm very confident about golfers traveling again.
Okay.
And maybe as well, another point regarding the tournament golf, I think very good examples of tournaments that have helped destination grow are, for instance, Abu Dhabi, which is a very, very good example. I mean, obviously there are not many people, or let's say locals, who play golf in Abu Dhabi. So Jeremy is right. It will not necessarily make people play more golf, but it has helped Abu Dhabi really become a leading golf destination. And it's interesting to see how Saudi Arabia is also, you know, using golf as a vector to basically become destination and follow on the footsteps of Dubai or Abu Dhabi, and also sometimes even hide some political stuff behind golf. So, so tournament golf is very powerful, I think.
Okay. I'm a little bit conscious we're running very close to time-wise, so I'm going to get a couple of questions in, and maybe we'll have a selection of answers rather than everybody answering. There's, in regard to golf academies, I have two real questions I would like to put out to our panel. In the light of the recent pandemic need for many golfers to seek online training because they haven't been able to go to their golf courses, will this have an impact on training traditional academies in the future? And secondly, touching a little bit on what we talked about on the golf course designers, is it important to have a link to the academy, a very well-known name or brand, as in question of equipment? Javier, would you like to take up the question?
Well, I think it's very important to have good teachers more than a brand. I think the brand can help, especially in resort kind businesses where you're going to spend a week and you look up at the academy and see what the resources have. I think it's important to have good teachers that are able to attract people to the game, who are able to motivate children to the game, junior golfers, because the game survival depends on children and families playing the game. The current model where the husband goes and spends the weekend playing golf with his buddies is over, and all private clubs know this. So academies, I think, are essential. The people that work in the academies, for me, are essential. That they have not only the right knowledge, but the right attitude to motivate the youngsters to the game. And I think we have a good advantage, and we should take good advantage of the fact that technology is here. Our young people love technology. Let's use simulators. Let's use iPads. Let's use phones to get people more embraced in the game. I think this is a great opportunity to attract young golfers and to grow the game.
Okay, thanks, Javier. Jeremy, would you like to add anything to that?
No. No. I think I answered that perfectly.
Okay. Javier mentioned earlier on, and again, I'll put it out to the panel, the famous thing we hear from time to time, that golf has to change if the sport is going to survive. Firstly, I think I know Javier's opinion on that. I don't think so, but is this the case? And would this condition the growth of new demographic targets? Would it limit the growth of the industry generally? Elisa?
Yeah, I mean, we already just, I think women and just minorities or whatever, just having more diversity, I guess is the politically correct word, diversity to the game. I actually have it on my wall here. Seth Waugh, who's now the PGA, head of the PGA, he said, let's make the game look more like the world, and maybe the world will look more like the game. I think it's just obvious, we have to do that. And you heard my opinion, I think, about time restraints. People are going to go back to having time restraints. This is a wonderful thing for golf right now, but if you can make, whether it's 6 or 9 or whatever, I'm like the queen of 9 holes. It still takes 4 hours. You go there, you got to hit balls. I'm not going to leave without having a drink or something. It's not like I'm like run and go. That's not the idea of having a good time. So that's 4 hours for me.
Sure. Patrick, have you anything to add there?
Yeah, well, I think Elisa said it very well. I also heard the talk of Seth Vaughan, and it's a very powerful phrase. And I think if everyone write that phrase down and think about it and look back 10 years back, I think that's what they were saying as well. To be able to say, if every day you try to help in that direction, then you look back in 10 years and things will have changed a lot. And I think it will be for the benefit of the game globally.
Okay. We've received some questions, which unfortunately we do not have any time for. We will, any questions that have come in will be sent directly to our panelists, and Arum Group will organize that. Finally, I would like to express my sincere thanks to our panelists for taking the time out of their, what is, I'm sure, very busy day. I think you will all agree that we've had a good afternoon web session this afternoon. And once again, thank you all very much. Jesus, I'll pass it back over to you to sign off.
Yeah, thank you very much to our illustrious speakers. I think that you have illustrated on a lot of topics that are very interesting for all the attendants. And well, we hope that you have enjoyed and learned as much as we did from this session, from the hand of these golf professionals and experts. We would like to take the opportunity to remind you that you can rewatch the recording of this webinar through the Arum group website, and where you will also find out about the coming webinars that we will try to organize from time to time. Muchas gracias y hasta pronto. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Many thanks.
Muchas gracias y hasta pronto. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Many thanks.